Hello, hello, and welcome to Feedback Friday Art Edition. I'm your host, Jacob Johnson. Sorry about the little delay there. My internet decided to drop out like 7 minutes ago. Sweet, there's like a bunch of construction from Bell just outside my street, so I don't know if that's what the issue is, but I think we're back. I think we're back. Refreshing chat since I lost that. Hello. All right, yeah, so sorry about that. I think we're good. Okay. Well, either way, I'm just gonna begin and I'll see if the chat lets me know. I'm gonna refresh the chat again. Doesn't seem to be working. Oh wait, we're good. We're good. Okay. So sorry about the delay. I am doing art today, obviously. We're not gonna go super long today. Probably around 1 or 2. Um, oh, thank you very much for the belated birthday. Thank you. Yeah. My birthday was 2 days ago. Halloween boy. Spooky baby. Yeah, so we're going to do a little bit of work on the map today, preparing for the Great Winter Hunt coming up. I think we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. Essentially, we're going to work on the event area, do some tweaking around in that area of the map that we need to do, and then if we have leftover time, we'll run around and add fun little details to whatever other parts you guys want me to for the Great Winter Hunt. And yeah, so I'm probably going to go till like 1:30, maybe 2. And that should be enough time to do everything I want. So that's the plan. Um, so we'll pop over to the map of Nonia. And this is essentially a ridiculously huge file that has too many layers. I've spent a lot of time cleaning up the actual map layers themselves because it's a whole heap and mess. But what we have going on here is essentially, well, this is last year's map. We had the comet here. Can even look at kind of a bunch of other years before. All kinds of fun stuff that we did in the past. Don't know if they're all perfectly in order, but yeah, just kind of consolidating all the old stuff. So we have lots of like fun little details scattered throughout the map. I think we started this 2 years ago. Yeah. Don't think it was back. Oh no, it was 15. Okay, yeah. So back in 2015, we started adding these little snowmen and snow piles to the map. And this year, we're moving the comet. It's no longer going to be down here. We're going to pop it out here directly onto the Huntington. So plan is we're crashing the comet, smashing the old ship, and that's all you'll get to know for now. So yeah, we're gonna render this out, have some fun with that, smash the ship, and then we're gonna kind of go around and add extra detail, and just whatever you guys want to do with the map, we'll try and fit it in. Some areas of the map are in a sense restricted from being able to be drawn on. Areas that have modular kind of capabilities where like basically all the rift stuff that appears and disappears. So like all those kind of sections that are turning on and off, we can't draw in those spots specifically because they get covered over with like a little rendering there, and it kind of create weird clipping issues if I drew behind it because these get pasted on top. So basically, it can do anything, but I have to avoid those specific spots. So this one just kind of dodges it here, which is fine. Travel upon the water at one's own risk indeed. gives Bubbles like a little Santa hat or something fun like that. For the longest time, I actually assumed, because at one point in the game we had a little overlay that covered over Bubbles. So when you collected Zugzwang's scarf, it actually had a slice that covered over all the broken ships. This here, and those disappeared when you had Zugzwang's scarf, which indicated you were free to travel to the seasonal gardens. And I'm not sure when we like stopped using that, but no one gave me that memo. So every time I've been doing mobile, I would, where is it? Yeah, I would cover over, because on mobile we don't have the ability to like turn on and off the kind of rift layers and stuff. So all these kind of little details are baked into that image for the mobile slice. So I've been basically hiding Bubbles on mobile forever, because I didn't realize that we no longer kind of covered over Bubbles when you have Zugzwang Scarf. I don't know how long ago that's been. So I'm just turning that off forever. So now suddenly mobile users will be like, where'd this octopus come from? Whoa, crazy. Yeah, little detail. Probably not really relevant to too many people though. So I don't know how many people are just wandering around looking at the map being like, I remember these pixels being exactly here. But yeah, we've gone around and baked in a lot of stuff into the map, so there's a lot less kind of like layers being needed to render over top of each other, and more memory taken, and all kinds of stuff like the toxic spill used to be able to turn on and off. Gauntlet used to be able to open and close depending on if you unlocked it. The Grove still opens and closes, but there's quite a few little minor things that would turn on and off, and it was just kind of like extra stuff that didn't really need to do, and just kind of was unnecessary, weight. As well, made this file like over a gig to render, or to just as a PSD is pretty massive. We've brought it down since. Let's see. Just kind of rearrange my windows so I can see things better. Yeah, the SS Huntington 4. Guess it's going to be the Shiv. Shiv. Mice problem on the ship is being temporarily solved. Nice. Yeah, so let's see. So yeah, essentially, the plan is thus. Render out new iceberg, or comet rather, Great Winter Hunt comet crashes down directly on top of the Huntington 3. Render that, show cool sunken ship, I think, because that's always fun. And then we'll, I think, create the Huntington 4, maybe up here. And that's kind of like the requisites for this assignment that I'm working on, essentially, is to kind of like render out those aspects. And then beyond that, we'll just play around on the map and add some fun festive details. So let's get started, because we have, I guess, like 2 to 3 hours to kind of do this. I don't think I'll end up taking lunch, obviously, because lunch goes for an hour. And if I'm tuning off around 2 anyways, might as well just take lunch then. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. Basically, I'm gonna render out this kind of crazy comet. I have some, ideas on how to make that look good. Mostly, it's just going to be making it look like, you know, waterlogged kind of chunks of snow and ice. Maybe add some little festive elements on top of it. I think that's always good. Candy canes, trees, etc. Um, and then we'll design a new Huntington. It'll be mostly like the original. Maybe we'll change the color scheme, add some cool details. You guys give me ideas for that, and then whatever other details, and we'll see what we can get in. Uh, and yeah, essentially every Great Winter Hunt, I'm kind of adding a little bit more snow and festive elements to the map, just because it is a big kind of piece and can take a bit of work. So it's kind of fun to add it little by little every year. Um, so we'll see what we can manage this year. So creating a new layer behind the sketch. I think I'll just turn this so that I can just barely see the ship. I want to be able to kind of get an idea of where the ship orientation is, because that will come into play in the rendering a little bit. So I create a layer behind the sketch. I'm just going to grab my kind of icy blue color and just block in the silhouette of this iceberg. And we're looking down on this in a kind of isometric kind of angle. This is the kind of like, if we were to look straight down at the map and there's a grid going, we kind of tilt it down and then angle it, and that's kind of what these diamonds represent, is kind of a square kind of resting, at a 3/4 angle. And so this kind of helps me get a perspective by having these grid lines here. I'll kind of turn them up so it's easier to see. But yeah, essentially I have this kind of grid pattern across the whole map, and that just kind of gives me a little something to help get my perspective right. Now this grid was done well after, the original map was designed. So these mountains, Narnia, they are not well into perspective. The lab, it's way too kind of wonky. But things like the dojo and like Murray and other areas that you don't need to see are kind of, in perspective. Islands are not so much either. At least they're somewhat in perspective. It's not the worst, but basically the original kind of areas I would love to redraw and just kind of fit them into this isometric kind of shaping. Yeah, just having that layer turned on helps me get a sense of kind of, what angle we're looking at this from. Especially since we're sitting something in water, it kind of like will be, right, surrounded by the water. So words are failing me at this point, but the perspective comes into play quite strongly with this. Just the way the water is going to be kind of up against the object. It's not like it's slanted on some hill or something like that, because the water is just going to kind of pool around it. So just putting chunks of ice all over the place. Andrew had a fun little idea of having kind of like almost like a glitter, like a stream of glitter melting off of this to make it feel more magical. I like that. I don't know how to render glitter without it being kind of like an animated GIF thing, but can't really animate the map, unfortunately. But I'll see what we can do. Just making it feel more magical, I think, is kind of the idea. So gigantic chunks of ice. This was the great festive comet. Came smashing down into the ocean. and has obviously broken apart and managed to take the Huntington out with it. Sorry to any of the hunters who were on board at the time. Your accounts have now been deleted. I'm joking. We would never do that. Okay. So just getting lots of ice. Okay, turn off the sketch for a second. Ooh, that's like blinding. Okay. I'll just tone that down real quick so it's not painful to look at. That feels a little bit better. The drawing from last Feedback Friday was pretty good. I'm still not 100% complete on it because I haven't decided exactly how I want to deal with the background on it. But it's come along. You guys will see it in time. Might as well let you earn the kind of the ability to look at it in its fullest of details. So in terms of the new Hit Grab announcement, in case anyone hasn't heard about it, one of the other kind of teams at Hit Grab created a game called Outworld Battlegrounds. There is a beta, sorry, not a beta, but well, actually, yeah, an open demo that you can download from Steam. Just search Outworld Battleground demo. And I think it's down right now. They're doing some kind of server kind of updating. But there is a Kickstarter for the project if you haven't heard about it. I'm not directly involved with the creation of the project, but I've been brought in to kind of do some testing, and I might end up doing some voice work on it possibly. But it's a fun game. I've played quite a few rounds of it and enjoyed it thoroughly. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, feel free to check it out. Check out the Kickstarter. Yeah, and share it with your friends. It's obviously it's not a game for everybody, but yeah, like the MouseHunt team were not directly involved in creating it. It's a different team, but it's a pretty fun project, pretty fun little game. It's not the same style as MouseHunt. If anyone's kind of expecting that, do not expect that. It's a very, very different kind of genre, more arcade kind of game and gory. Yeah, it's a battle royale kind of game. Okay, so I'm just gonna start to turn this into ice. Turn the sketch down a little bit more. Really don't need it for much. Oh yeah, if there was like a tsunami from the comet crashing into the ocean, that would not be a bad idea. You know, it would make sense. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything planned for that. But yes, technically that would definitely be the case. This is not a small object hitting a body of water near the shoreline. That's definitely going to cause some issues. You know, I'm going to put this specular highlight, the reflected light, on a different layer, because that will allow me to kind of like paint really saturated dark stuff directly behind it, which will look very nice. So popping that onto a new layer. And just blasting it with some highlights. And then yeah, I think we'll go even darker. And then we're going to have the ice kind of inside the water a bit. Like how we have the iceberg here, you can see it kind of below the water. Will have an effect like that as well. And then we'll start to add festive elements to it. Will the volcano ever erupt? I actually really, really want to make the volcano erupt. I'm not a big fan of the tribal isles. I don't think too many people are. And as you may have noticed, we've been kind of working our way through the game. You know, we started in like the meadow and Narnia. We went to the harbor, went to the mountains, and we've been updating kind of the gameplay. Kind of wish I updated the maps when we did all that. And most recently, we did the laboratory and mausoleum. And as you're aware, we're kind of doing that to make the gameplay more exciting and fun for early players. It's really helped with the engagement for that stuff and kind of the allowing brand new players to actually get past those areas. And we're doing it linearly because, you know, if we jump directly to the tribal isles, which is actually a big bad spot, it causes a lot of issues for players to try and get to the end game. If we jump directly to that, all the players that get to the kind of early areas still manage to drop off before they get there. So as we've been fixing it up, it's actually helped a ton. So we just kind of have to go through that linearly. I really, really, really want to get there and blow it up, though. That volcano deserves an eruption, a little cataclysmic event, if you will. And yeah, so essentially, it might just be kind of giving the area a really good, clean HUD that really helps the player understand what they're doing and what's going on, and that might be enough. But honestly, I don't even really think the gameplay is too valuable in that area, so I would look into the possibility of making it a whole different thing. But we'll see. We haven't really kind of gone to the drawing board for that yet. Currently, we are working on new content. We are working on Great Winter Hunt and probably a bunch of other kind of gameplay features for you guys, and that's the priority right now. So one day I would love to get there. I've been wanting to redo the Tribal Isles for years and years. Jacob versus a volcano. Love it. Which area is next on the revamp list? I think we might touch up on Feroma really quick. Essentially cleaning up a little bit of the flow through, but mainly just kind of giving it a HUD, I think, is the thing to do with it. Like the gameplay, honestly, is good. I think there's not really any tweaks that are necessary. Other than maybe how you gain the map and stuff, like the whole bazaar thing where you complete the mausoleum and then you go to the training grounds to catch an archer, to go to the bazaar to purchase the map, to go to the dojo. I think it's something like that, but it's just like unnecessary steps. So I think we would kind of like make that a better flow, maybe make the bazaar actually have a purpose, or make the training grounds have a little more something involved and interesting. So we'll figure that out. I think that's kind of the next revamp area. But then, yeah, for the dojo itself, I think it would just be creating a nice little HUD that helps players kind of keep track of their seals, their cheese, and maybe traveling between the different floors, just to make it a easier, funner experience. Just improve the quality of life for that. And I think that's kind of the main thing we would do for the dojo, really. I don't think it requires any kind of real change in the game design. So I think it'd be a quick and easy one to do, which I think is always fantastic. And then we can move on to what follows. At least I believe that's kind of like the plan. What would be next? Because yeah, the dojo doesn't like cause a bottleneck, but I think with just kind of a quick little HUD that could be worth it. Actually, yeah, I switched over to a hard-edged brush just because with this kind of reflected light, I feel like that just looks better. Okay, so we're just getting, the sky kind of bouncing off this ice. Turn off the sketch. I don't need the sketch anymore. So yeah, it's this comet, crashed down and just broke apart. So it's going to have very jagged, unweathered kind of edges. I don't want to make it menacing, but essentially when you take an ice ball and smash it on the ground, it's going to be all jagged parts, not really melted down and smooth yet. So I might kind of sharpen up a couple of the edges a little bit, just to show that it's freshly smashed. Also, I think can refine a little bit of the shapes here. I think this is perhaps a little too steep, so I'll just make that a different piece floating in front of it. Yeah, based on this kind of angle, we're looking at this. I think we can have a little bit more fun with the shapes as well. I was thinking maybe like having some of the ice kind of shaped like things like candy canes or Christmas trees or something like that. We really want to make it feel festive in the end. Right now, we're just kind of blocking out what are the kind of big chunks of ice to kind of show, hey, this is a crashed comet, but right now it doesn't exactly scream Christmas. I think we'll also pile snow on top. And that can also, if we put snow on top, that can help soften some of these jagged peaks. Because you have a nice fluffy pile of snow on it. That'll be a nice kind of touch for that. Just cleaning up some of these edges and reflections, sharpen them up, reveal some cracks in the ice. Okay, I think that's probably good for now. Can touch up all the final details later on. I think it's close enough to what we want. And yeah, okay. So here we have the ice above water. Now let's create a new layer. Grab a bit of the blue, let's kind of darken it and desaturate it a bit. Let's just have this kind of go behind. And we just want to make this feel like ice floating in the ocean. Okay. So right now it looks like weird blue gems scattered on top of this weird map. But if we take this and now we start to erase away almost kind of like ripples of water, that might look all right for it. Also kind of fade it out a bit more. What are you doing, Wash? Hey, bud. What's up? What's up, little guy? Let's say hi. Wash, wanna say hi? Come on. Hey, buddy. Hey. Okay. 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 Back at it. Floating candy canes? Yes. Snow on top as well, definitely. Yeah, some of those videos, they're like 10 years old at this point. I think all the cats are like asleep. They'll come around. Charlie will generally always kind of steal some camera time. The other ones not so much. Imprint the dog's face on the comment. I like it. We have put Wash on a few MouseHunt things. It's on a couple of traps, I think, and various other drawings. Time to put the cats on things. have some fun putting some caustic effect on the back of the iceberg with like the light hitting the water down here and reflecting onto the back of it. So like as an example, could let's see, do something like this. Is this gonna work? Maybe I need to go lighter than that. Should lock the transparencies on this. Yeah, that's kind of working. But yeah, essentially we're getting the light kind of hitting the water and bouncing off the water. And because there's waves, it creates these ripples, and the light is going to be kind of bounced where the waves are kind of like converging and dispersing, and where they kind of all converge together, you're getting like lots of kind of bright saturated color on the back of it, and in areas where it's not hitting it. It's just kind of, it's a fun effect. Helps kind of create this sitting in a pool of water look. A little more magical feel too. And if there's enough light hitting on the other side, the side facing towards the light source, that light coming in is going to be enough to kind of blast out the light reflecting off the water, so you lose that caustic effect on that side of it. So we'll probably lighten it up, maybe put like snow on top of it and stuff, so it doesn't show the caustic effect absolutely everywhere. But it's kind of like in the shaded areas it starts to show up. Yeah, I'm just using a color dodge brush. So essentially what that does is it builds on top of the color, and kind of like the more you pass over it, the more kind of intense and the more light it adds. And it's such a good brush for doing special effects stuff. Like I love using it on metal to like really pump up metal reflections, because it really increases the color a lot and punches it up in like really fun ways. So it's one of my favorite brushes. Is just a nice kind of soft, hard-edged but soft brush with just a little bit of flow, very low, high opacity, but then color dodge, and that just kind of creates for fun little effects. Yeah, it's like I have like 5 or so brushes that I use for almost everything. But yeah, I use this one for like magic effects and stuff. Fire, metal. It's pretty versatile. Fire, metal, magic, and caustic effects, apparently. Yeah, light passing through ice cracks as well. Oh, and also I like to use it for, yeah, like essentially light scattering through an object, because if you have a translucent object that's kind of saturated like ice or even skin, when a hard, strong light hits that, and you're kind of like passing over where the light falls off, the light actually kind of bounces through the material and comes out from inside the material. It like scatters through the material and picks up, well, it doesn't pick up light, but like it kind of, it saturates the color, like all of the wavelengths that would be absorbed get absorbed, and then the ones that don't bounce out of the object. So with ice, you have light going through ice because it's translucent, and because it's kind of picking up everything but like the cool spectrum. The cool spectrum bounces through it, hits all the molecules and bounces around and comes out. And so it's going to be like a super saturated, very, very like intense icy blue color that kind of comes out through the other side. Um, and so that can create like really beautiful looking effects. And it helps tell you what the material is. If you see light scattering through something, you know it's somewhat translucent. It's not totally transparent, but it's translucent. It's absorbing some of the color and scattering the rest. So yeah, like at the edges of things, I might kind of pump up this color here or something like that, or like cracks and stuff like that. Actually, I'm gonna go a little darker. I like to do this with like gemstones and ice objects that are colorful but see-through, like translucent. I like to go dark on the side facing towards the light. I gotta switch my brush. Dark and saturated, because the light is hitting it, but it's not bouncing off of the surface, it's going into the object, and it's actually bouncing off the far side of the object towards us. So it's kind of like, not a lot of the light is actually bouncing off of the surface here. Not a lot of the kind of colorful light. So the top side is going to be nice and dark and saturated, and then the inside is where it starts to glow because the light has made it penetrated into the object and is then reflecting out from inside. So I'm turn on the sketch really quick just so I have any idea of where I wanted these kind of seams to be. I'm gonna go a little darker in some areas than I might need to, so I can always pull it back. But just want to have a little bit of an outline for like what object is what. So like, let's say this is kind of broken into a few pieces. I think maybe this needs to be its own kind of piece here. The top sides of this nice and dark. And it might not always be realistic for it to be so dark up at the top, but it like punches up the contrast and really makes it fun to look at. So even if it's not perfectly realistic, it looks good, and that's always a worthy excuse for art. It's like this maybe has like a giant crack in it here or something. It travels down. I feel like I could probably mix in a couple of other colors into this a little bit. Instead of it all being totally blue, we can maybe get a little bit of purple kind of into some of this. Just add a little bit more interest. I have a color variation brush, which I don't play around with enough. But maybe there's greens up in the kind of, let's use just color here. So maybe there's like greens kind of up in the thinner areas or something like that on the top left side of things. Just kind of adding a little more variation to it, a little more interest, I think. Let's see. I think we'll keep doing the darkening some areas. It's like there's another crack that might be forming here. A lot of the time with art, at least the way that I work, I don't have it in my mind. Like I don't know exactly what anything is going to look like. I can't kind of picture what I'm going to draw very, very well. I can sometimes kind of like get a little bit of an idea in my head, but it's so vague. Um, the thing is, like, the way I get to an image is I kind of draw it in several passes. The sketching is such a very important element in kind of creating an image because I have no idea what something's going to look like until I've drawn the sketch and it's physically there. Then I can actually start to kind of like visualize it better. Like I may have an idea like, oh, I want this character to be like really muscular or like hunching over and kind of like on the prowl or have wings or something like that. I can like be like, these are things I want in it, but I don't necessarily see that in my mind. But when I draw the sketch out, I just kind of work on the sketch and I move that around, and that's how I kind of understand what I want it to do. So I may have had the idea of like, oh, I want like a big chunk of ice that's broken into a lot of little pieces, but I didn't see it. And then when I drew it out, I had a better idea of how I want that to look, and then I kind of like work on the drawing itself, using the ideas that I have. So I know that I want there to be cracks and stuff on it. And now that I know that, I can start just drawing cracks, and they just kind of like it almost, like I see the image and it's like, oh, obviously I should just draw a crack right here. That's where it should go, and it just kind of almost reveals itself. Um, but I didn't know that's where I wanted it to be before I started the drawing, right? There's some people that assume that an artist can just be like, oh, you know exactly what you want to draw from the start. No, I don't work that way at all. I barely can kind of like visualize what I want and have it come out the same. So I don't really even try it. I just kind of have an idea of what I want it to be. I want it to be a comet in the ocean, and what would that look like? Okay, so like ice, or at least MouseHunt ice is just very, very blue and intensely colored. Um, and I just start drawing that, and it just kind of forms itself essentially. So I think we've added a lot of the darks. It's kind of deepened and richened the colors quite nicely. I think we could even go like super saturated and dark in a couple of spots where it's like deep inside the iceberg, the cometberg, whatever we want to call it. But that kind of like deepening of the kind of values just draws a bit of attention there, kind of adds some interesting depth, I think. So I think I want to get a little bit more of this saturated color, not so bright, down in here. Perhaps a bit of the caustic effect up here. Not too much, just a bit. Yeah, so it's a very, very colorful iceberg, which I think is very nice. I think I'm going to also finish doing these kind of ripples because I think that helps it look like it's sitting in water. So I feel like that's kind of an important element to do. So I'm going to just soften these edges out a bit. Actually, I could use my scatter brush for that. It smooths it out very nicely, this brush. Okay, so now there's a nicer transition. And now I can erase. The festive Cometberg. I feel like I've fallen quite far behind on the chat. I'm just going to take a minute. When is Ron's a ghost ship? Nice. Light passing through the ice cracks, right? Indeed. I will definitely be adding ship debris. I think that's going to be fun. Basically, need to be a scientist to be a good artist. I think understanding the science behind light does actually provide some benefits to rendering textures. But I mean, you don't need to actually totally understand it because we know, like when you see something, you know that that doesn't look right, but you may not understand exactly what's going on or the terminology for things. Um, but yeah, so it's useful. I did take a kind of advanced lighting course, which actually goes into the science behind how light works and interacts with objects, which is why I can kind of claim to have an idea of what's going on. Yeah. Still haven't answered what happens to if people need a Huntington mouse on an existing map while the ship is sunk. We are actually creating the Huntington for that will be boop, boop, here. So we're basically going to bake this image in, and we're going to modify it. We're going to make it look a little different. Update it to be the fourth, the shiv, if you will. So you guys are going to help me design that because, you know, it's the community that made the ships in the first place. Might as well continue that trend, although we're not going to make you go out and collect pieces of a boat that takes forever and we need tens of thousands of them or hundreds of thousands. I forget how many. But yeah, if you guys don't know about it, we had to like collect pieces of a hull to create a new ship way back when. Back when we were in like Burlington, so that was like 7 years ago maybe. Will the ship look more modern? I think so. I think we'll make it look a little better. Um, we don't have a huge amount of time, but I can always kind of start it. You guys can help influence it, and then I can finish it. So I think I'm caught up enough. Let's see, Michelle messaged me with a smiley face. That's good. Just kind of catching up on work chat in case there's anything I need to see. Just some bug stuff that they were talking about. Mm-hmm. You ran out of disk space. Great. So the streaming software, I forgot, but it does decide to record a video on my hard drive, and that takes several gigs anytime I do a stream. I need to remember to disable that and delete the videos because I don't need those on my computer. They're online already. And no one's watching the VOD of this. I mean, maybe they do, but it's a very slow thing. At least they can skip through it if they want. Yeah. You had to like build the original one with like the planks, and then we had a community event where like everyone had to pool resource together and build it, and like we're not doing that one again. That was a mess. This is an interesting idea, having the community like come together to build something, but ultimately I don't think it was a very fun thing to do. All right, let's just getting these ripples. Yeah, it's kind of one of the fun things about ripples is like you have a wave, and kind of when it kind of moves, you like create valleys and peaks, and when you have waves coming at each other, you know, they actually amplify each other. So like when you have waves kind of coming up and they hit each other, they actually raise even more. When they're going down, they like sink even deeper. And when one's going up and one's going down, they actually cancel each other out. So essentially, what's going on here in this spot down here, where you see the waves kind of like hitting each other, I'm kind of like punching up the effect here where they overlap each other. I'm like making it stronger because I'm like amplifying the waves there, and it has a nice little watery look to it, right? It's just kind of, it's maybe not perfect, but it looks neat. It feels like water. These angles feel a little off actually. That's not good. So these left, the ones on the left feel a little more in perspective. Ones on the right feel a little flattened out. So I'm gonna just do that. And this. Okay. It's a little better. It's still not perfect, but yeah. Those ripples just feel a little too flattened out. The perspective feels off. The definition of insanity. Building the ship over and over again, expecting its fate to change. I love it. Yeah, if you there are quite a few ships that I've sunk over the years, including Carl's cruise here. We've gone through 3 Huntingtons and a few others that were unnamed before that Bubbles managed to get to. So yeah, it's been an interesting time out in the Rodentia Ocean. Maybe one day you'll encounter sunken treasures down there. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, if you go through the sunken city, there's certainly no shortage of shipwrecks. Not at all. Quite a few of them are haunted, too. Rather impressive. And then all the ghost ships that come out during Halloween, of course, which you just, well, are currently experiencing. Yeah, a lot of sunken ships in this sea. Okay, and I think we'll even put a little highlight on the water, just to punch up that water effect even more. I think these ripples do a great job, but I'm definitely not opposed to pushing it even further. Almost done with these. Cool. That's a big comet. A big hunk of ice. Still glows when it's Halloween. Carl is somewhere in the ship screaming Jacob's name for sinking his ship. Let's see. It's not the one. Where's that glow? Pretty sure I have a proper glow where it doesn't actually cover over the ship. There we go. There we go. I'll just leave that on. I'll just leave the lights on in there. Spooky. Okay. So let's put some snow on top of this. Just so it's not all just shattered ice. You know, we could have a little kind of snowscape on top. Could be nice. Let's see how we manage to do this. Is this a good color? That's okay, I guess. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we'll try. So a lot of the nice reflections are where I want to put the snow. I think I'll go a little bit more saturated. Yeah, it's a little easier to see what I'm doing if I go darker. What are you cats doing? Yeah, I don't know if this is going to read very well. Trying it anyways. Alright, so we'll go nice and light. Let's use our textured brush. Lock transparencies. And it's just kind of nice soft edges. You know, no hard kind of shadows and stuff. Well, it feels a bit like snow. Cool. Can't save anymore. Great. Might need to deal with that really quick. And let's get nice and dark and shadowed. It's probably too dark. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clear up some space really quick because, as I've stated, this file is very big. So basically, if this crashes, also I haven't saved yet. That might be useful. If this crashes, I will lose everything. This highlight here, I need to remove at the edges of this. Okay. Alright, that feels a little bit like snow on top. It's not the worst. Could be worse. Okay, let me try and clear some space on the computer so I can not freak out. Don't worry, screenshot and send it to you, and we'll just plaster it over top of the map. That works. Let's see, what can I delete? All right. Probably have like Steam games I don't play right now. That is 2 gigs there. Didn't I delete Final Fantasy already? Yeah. That's a big one. Let's see. Portal 2. Don't think there's anything there. No. $17 gigs for Quake Champions. Probably won't play that anytime soon. Goodbye. Okay. And close that. Let's see if I can save this now so I don't lose it. Saving 25%. 26, 30, 32. Okay, I think we're okay now. %. Takes a long time to save this file too. And then, because I'm using Google Drive, anytime I save this, it's like time to upload a gig. So that might mess with my stream as well. Not that we need perfect frame rate or anything. Okay, I saved the map. We're safe. We're good. Hopefully I don't get any more alerts about my hard drive filling up. After this video, I am going to try and track down all the settings for this thing saving to my computer so I don't have this issue again, because that's gross. But like another thing about it is because I've opened this file, it's like eating up a big part of my like scratch disk and RAM and stuff like that, because it's a big file. So once I close this, my computer will suddenly have way more free space. Where are you, chat? There we go. Yeah, I had a lot of Steam games that I don't necessarily play. Like, I'm like, oh, I'll probably go back to that one day, but I'll just re-download it then. I don't need, 30 Steam games at any given time. It's not like I lose them when I delete them. All right. The Huntington Uprising. Yeah, I'm so far behind on the chat again. I'm so bad at keeping up with you guys. Oh yeah, Carl's Cruise sunk. Yes. That was the original Halloween event, I think. Or no. There was it like crashed during one of the Carl's cruises or something like that. Either way, you guys were like, no more Carl's cruise, we hate it. And so we're like, okay, let's crash the ship and just like end it forever, make a statement about it. So we did. And then Carl showed up as a zombie for Halloween. It was a costume, totally. All right. Fort Rock still shows the snow peaks from the hills that got destroyed by the meteor. Sarah. Okay, I don't think I need to worry about anything being off at this point. I think I've consolidated the map properly. We'll see though. Who knows? There's a lot of different elements that are kind of weird about it. Oh, poor buddy. I'm gonna have to take Wash out pretty soon, I think. He's whining and tooting. So I might take him out for like a quick 15-minute walk. So let me do that actually, because he's very insistent right now. So sorry about that. I know we just kind of were twiddling our thumbs for a minute there. But I think we're pretty good right now. We've kind of created this comet that's broken up. There's things I'm going to tweak on it. I'm not totally happy with it yet. And then of course we want to add festivities to it, and sync the ship and then create a new one. And that's kind of like requirement for today. And then we'll see what else we can manage. But I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. So I did just save it. I wanted to compulsively save it just now, finally. But that would just waste time and stuff. So I'm just going to go on a quick break. So I'll see you guys in like probably 10 to 15 minutes. I might make a coffee actually. So see you then. All right. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Maybe go somewhere for 15 minutes though. Check out that Kickstarter. All right. See you in a minute. All right. Hello, friends. We're back. So took my shoot, made a coffee, all that jazz, and we're good. Let's get back at it. So where we left off, we had just added a bit of snow on top of the peaks of this broken comet. So I think we'll just kind of add on top of that a little bit. I'm going to have to get a little bit of snow here. Get some snow on top of this one here, perhaps. And do we want any on that chunk? I don't know. I don't want to put snow on absolutely everything. Can we add a small droid in full climbing gear halfway up? Probably wouldn't proportionally work. Hey, I mean, the droids could be any size. Who knows how big things are in this game, to be honest. They could be a cute little thing. I like it. Let's lock transparencies. Light up this snow. I think that's all the snow I added there. Let's make this full size. Wow, that's a big map. When I go to like full size, it just covers my screen with just basically this area. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a way to like zoom in to where I need and still see my chat. Let's do this. Perfect. Okay, I got it. Add a small flag when the first person manages to finish the event. I like that little detail. Not too useful, and honestly would require a lot more than a little flag. Basically, the way this works is we bake an image, and that has to like get uploaded. And if we do a little like tweak to it, it's cached. There's like all these kinds of like little things that go on. So like adding a little flag, although cute and wonderful, and I like it, in this system, not easy. At least not as cut and dry as just kind of as it sounds. But I like it though. It's cute. Okay. Kind of want to do some fun stuff with the actual ice itself. Like if we were to turn this into a candy cane, or maybe this becomes a Christmas tree made of ice. Because yeah, I want them to feel festive. I think this is a good way to do it. Let's see, what else could we do? Could do an actual snowman on top. Let's just do a new layer for it. Why not? Is this in perspective? Probably not. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Acceptable, I suppose. Okay. And since this is casting a shadow onto this layer, do that. Let's see. We'll add the snowman details in a minute. Let's make this one an ornament. And then what else? Oh yeah, presents. That's a good idea. Floating presents and toy parts. This could be a gift box coming out of the ice here. Let's see. What else? Gingerbread man, I guess. Where did the gingerbread man go? I guess here. think that's pretty alright. A little festive. Okay. Let's get a little bit better color behind the ice here, or inside the ice rather. Color dodge is such a good tool. Okay, I think we're getting there. Let's see, what else? What else? It's a pretty intense color, to be honest. Like, it demands attention. So I'm a little bit tempted to knock it down just a bit to like fit the map. You know what I mean? When I have the ship's mast sticking out of the one of the ice chunks because it crashed directly into it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, we gotta add that in definitely. The whole kind of smushed ship. Let's see. Yeah, it's event stuff. It's okay if it like stands out. That's true. That is kind of nice to have it like really apparent. But I think one way to tame it just a little bit is get this watercolor, which is, you know, brown, good water. But obviously this was like drawn to be more of a scribed cartographer map originally, and then I added a lot more color to it later on. So it kind of became its own thing, I guess. All right, so I'm going to do a layer on top, and I'm going to have just like reflected light from the water onto the front-facing side of it to just pull it into the water just a smidge, just a little smidge. It just kind of actually helps with the 3D-ness of it, I suppose. Just pull it into the environment just a touch. I hope it's the goal. So it's not too crazy, but I think it does just kind of blend it into the environment just a touch. Yeah, I think that's okay. We can leave that. Maybe I'll even knock it down just a smidge. There we go. 75%. Why not? All right, let's figure out this smashed ship. So there is a layer, because this ship is actually baked into the base image at this point. There is a layer that I just quickly painted that's just covering over the current ship. So basically I want to paint that ship out of existence. And we might be able to do that simply by blending this a little smoother, perhaps. There, the mast is starting to show. So what we can do at this point is take a clone stamp brush, grab a selection nearby, and just paint it out of existence. There we go. No more ship, and I think we'll just grab a little bit of texture. This, that's a bit much. Let's see, the size is terrible, and I don't like this brush shape. Shape dynamics, size jitter, no, not that one. Minimum diameter, very big. No size dynamics. Brush tip shape, I want it to be, well, soft is okay. I just didn't like how thin it was. So grab this. Just getting a little bit of that familiar texture, paper texture. Okay, I think that is reasonable. Cool, perfect. So that ship is now hidden from view. Mind you, if I erase away the iceberg, it's a little messy down there. So I'll clean that up when I do the post-event creation. I just want to turn off the sketch. There we go. Shall we dress up our little snowman really quick? Let's do it, just so I don't forget. Give him a little nose. And we don't need to lock transparencies on this. It's a big arm. Kind of hat is this? Snowman pirate hat. He's gotta have the mouse ears. And an eye patch. And a hook branch. What do they look like? Let's look at another one. Screaming, waving, dancing, pirating. Alright, cool. Let's grab that branch color for the arm. And we'll lock transparencies. That's good enough. We don't need to go crazy with this. Yeah, I would love to redraw the map at some point. It's such a big task, though. It would take weeks, I think, to do it the justice I want. So in a way, I'm kind of just drawing over areas every once in a while, but I really want to redraw over that Nanian area, mainly. But yeah, like, I kind of want to change the color of the sea. It's not a big deal, but it wouldn't be something I would be upset about being able to do. Yeah, so lots that I want to do. All right, so here we have the layer that's coating the ship, so we'll have to do a layer above that. And we have the ship here that we can use as reference. Let's do redo. Let's do a new layer. This one's going to be the sketch, so we'll just do a gray for the sketch, so I have an idea of what one it is. And okay, I just wanted a quick little scribble of what the dimensions of the ship are, so I can destroy it. Front sail, gone. Totally annihilated. It's directly under the main part of the comet. The sail, shredded, and probably broken. The mast is probably snapped. Maybe it's snapped off to the side here. Or here. Didn't mean to squish it. If it's facing that way, the snowman interferes with it a bit too much. I think I could do it to the left. Should be like... smash like this, maybe, where it's like upended. This mast is totally snapped off to the side, so we can still see what it is. I mean, it's just laying in the water there. And then, yeah, there's just debris of the ship itself. And like one of the masts sticking out of the iceberg here or something. So I could put this above, in case I do want elements on top of the snow, which I do here. So even one of the masts, since there's two of them on the Huntington 3. So upended ship here, looking at it from top down. Sink this down a bit more. Try not to have it interfering with too much of the drawing. That should be okay there. I think maybe I'll move this mast a bit so we can more clearly see what that object is, and then this mast could be just sticking out of the snow here. Yeah. That's like snapped more obviously. I don't want it to be a big focus of the iceberg, or the cometberg. I still want it to be mainly feeling a little more festive, so we could throw lights and other decorations on it. These little ice shapes are fun, but they don't really state enough about the event, or they don't kind of like make it feel festive enough. So we'll shove candy canes. We'll put colorful lights strung around it. I think little fairy lights or whatever. I think that'd be nice. And then maybe we'll put that like glitter trail on these little pieces floating away, perhaps. And I think that might do it for the comet. I think that might be enough. Oh yeah, sorry about the 3D effects. I'll just turn that off. It is kind of intense to look at. Forgot I had that on. It was a lot of fun to create though. Love doing this effect. It's kind of nasty to look at though. All right. Stupid snowmen. They're so big. Like the size of skyscrapers, probably. Who knows what scale things are in this game, though. Okay, so just gotta find. This is the layer that I created for the ship. Huntington III. The sketch can go down to 30%. And let's grab some Huntington colors and just start smacking pieces into it. Some nice splintered wood there. Just a hunk of ship here and here. Some floating behind. And this is also behind Cometberg. This might draw a little too much attention, so we can probably knock it back color-wise. I think it's a bit intense. I'm gonna go behind the snowman. You know what? This layer should be on a layer behind the iceberg. Cometberg. That way I don't need to carefully paint around objects that are supposed to be in front of it. Just makes it a little more easy to work on. Okay, I'm just using the same color right now because it's quickest. Okay, and the crow's nest is slightly submerged. And we'll put more debris here. This one can go on this layer. There we go. Sometimes I layer, or I name my layers. Not often, though. Okay, we'll get debris sitting up on here. Smash ship. No, you guys won't have to build the 4th ship. Ugh. The king has learned his lesson and has had it prepared in advance, expecting the worst. And thankfully the meteorologists, the cometologists, noticed that the comet was off course this year and successfully evacuated everyone from the Huntington. Anyone that was hunting there was successfully moved to a safer destination just in the nick of time. Hence, they weren't able to get the Huntington out of the way, so it got smashed. Or everybody got hit and smushed. Now they're all ghosts. Alright. Just knocking back a little bit. I just don't want to draw so much attention to it. And we'll get some of this blue light on it because it's like right up against the iceberg, and that's kind of bouncing its light onto the Huntington. And again, where it's getting direct light, that's kind of getting blown out. But in the shadows, the Huntington is getting the comet's kind of bounce light. How does it look with the sketch off? Okay. Who goes there? Oh, it is the crumb. Hello, Wash. Come say hi again. Wash. Wash. Come here. Wash. Come here, buddy. Come on up. Okay, that's good enough. Good enough. All right, we'll get more kind of sail color, I guess. Although it would be waterlogged right now. But again, because of the color of the water itself, it's kind of harder to work with. So we just won't. We'll do a layer behind this for kind of shadow effects, I guess. We can create ripples coming off of the object. Cool, okay. And then I think we'll just tweak the color on some of these, just so it's not so contrasty. We'll go with this color right now. Add on highlights. There we go. Now the materials are there, but they're not like screaming for attention. Get a little bit of the red in some parts, because that was kind of the paint job on some of it. Don't want it to be like blood red though. Don't want it to look like there was a terrible accident. Just want the paint job of the ship to be recognized a little bit. Okay, that's okay. Lights on the mast that's stuck in the ice. let's just add a couple extra festive pieces. Okay. I like the string of lights. Festive. All right. So could you see if this works? I kind of like the white lights that people like to put on their trees and stuff. Don't know if this can read very well. It might be best to go with kind of the colored, the classic, you know, very colorful set of lights, especially since this is on top of like snow and ice. Having it just be white is kind of like not going to read as well, right? But if it's a whole bunch of strong colors, that probably will. These lights are almost strung in a way to tie the comet together. Keep it from drifting apart. Yeah, I think having colors might be the way to go. So let's start adding some color. So we'll do like add some pink and some red. And some green. Probably don't need to add any blue, since there's already so much of that going on. Let's go for like a purple. I think I need a little more red-green going on. Not the duct tape kind. We'll try blue. We'll try blue. Okay. Do we have yellow? I don't think we have yellow. Right now I don't know if it looks like there's a string of lights wrapping around the mast sticking out of the ice. I don't think that's reading super well. We need a stronger red, in fact. Ugh. Okay, I think the red and green are needed to make it feel nice and festive. It should at least be pretty loud. Okay. I don't think those work super duper well. I think they don't feel like lights because I don't have kind of the glow effect going on. So what I could do is put a layer behind it, get a occlusion brush, turn that down to like nothing. Yeah, I don't like that. I'll just use a soft brush, the main brush. Is this gonna work? I guess it would show up in the shadows. Just getting a bit of a glow behind them if there's kind of a dark swatch behind it. So those feel a little bit more like lights now, right? And then if we add a point of kind of like brightness directly in the center, like a single pixel of pure white or close to white, that might do it. Okay, and layer on top. Let's just get our accent brush, pure white, and lastly, zoom in. Doing this on a pixel by pixel basis. Okay, that feels a lot more like lights now. And Christmas lights. Much better. Yeah, that's so much better. Okay. That feels like festive lights. Oh, Charlie wants to say hi. Nope. Charlie, come here. Come here, girl. Hey. This is Charlie. She loves to be on camera sometimes. Hey, you. Say hi to the camera. Boop. Little boop. All right, back to it. So I think that those lights work pretty well from a distance, from like zoomed out. I don't know if it looks as good on stream, but that looks okay. It's feeling festive. Okay, so do we want to get a little bit of the glitter and the water magic feeling? I don't know if that's going to look right. How to make that work? It would be on this layer down here. Make a new one for it. Where essentially, if I were to take this kind of color and like have it leave a trail leading away from the iceberg or the comet or something, and then like add some effect in the water. So it's like melting a trail behind itself. And if I did like something like that. Maybe. Just kind of like going for this magic look where there's like a stream of magical ice that's melting and looks kind of cool. What if we did it as soft light? Let's see. Overlay. Hard light might work. I think it would have to be hard light, if any. Maybe there's a bit too many lights on it anyways. I think wrapping around here is a bit noisy. So we could try knocking it back a bit. I think I could just merge these into lights. It makes it easier to erase. So we'll take that down a notch, erase it there, down there. We'll just have that disappear into the crevice there. Yeah, I just don't want it to be too noisy with it. And then I think I could get a little more edge definition. using some darks here. Perhaps there. Okay. I don't know. I hope that's reading. I feel like it's getting kind of noisy. And then also, I think we'll have a location marker somewhere on it. Hopefully we'll find a good spot that doesn't make it cover over something we want to see. Yeah, do the lights work? Maybe we do want to cut the lights back even more. I do think that I might want to get rid of the lights on the mast here, because it kind of loses what it is. Like it does not read. So I think that's okay. Could maybe hang a mistletoe off of it though. That'd be fun. All right, let's get a quick little. Pretty sure I know what mistletoe looks like, but I just. Yeah, that's what I thought. A sprig of green with some berries. Kind of hard to read. I mean, we don't have a lot of fidelity at this size. Although the map is very large, there is a lot of it, so the resolution is not actually very good. Mistletoe, I guess. Maybe pop a wreath around one of the bergs. Maybe one of the ones off to the side where it's not super kind of busy. Just put like a little wreath wrapped around it. That's a pretty festive thing. And I'll shade that. As well as the ice below it. If I can find the right layer. Okay, we'll erase the highlight here. And go darker here. And there. We get a bit of green cast into it. And then we can add some little white berries into the wreath. Get out of here, Windows. There we go. We'll just go a bit darker at the edge. I just want to be able to make that read at a distance. Get a little bit of the water reflecting into it. Okay. A little wreath. I don't know if that reads super duper well, but we tried. I'm just going to cover over, not that. That little wave was just interfering with it a little bit. Just knock that away so it's not, get rid of that one completely. Better. Okay. All right. We are running out of time. Yeah, I think like I do also prefer the white lights. They look like a little more nice. I don't know, they just look nicer. But because it would be white lights on snow, essentially, it wouldn't read, I'm afraid. So as much as I would prefer that, let's just see if we can try it though, because I also prefer those. Yeah, I don't think it'll read. Like, it's almost what the effect would be. It's actually not terrible. Let me gently erase the cord between them. So it's just a hint of it. And at a distance, this might actually work, which is what people will be viewing it at. Might work. Get rid of that there. The mistletoe is nuked out. Pull that back. Mistletoe, come back. Lock the transparencies. Grab our red berries. Go more red. That's a terrible mistletoe, but hey, whatever. It works. Okay, so that is the white light variant. It does somewhat read. It reads better on the ice than on the snow. If I were to do it, I would maybe just get rid of it where the snow is for the most part. Like just have it wrapped around those parts of the ice. That's not terrible. I don't hate it. Could work with that. Okay, so colored lights, white lights. If we did the white lights like this, I think we could add it on a couple more of the bigger blocks of ice. So like add one here, maybe. What's this? What is going on? What brush am I using? Just use this. Yeah, maybe both. Maybe. What is the best way to do this? Mind you, these lights would also affect the ice around them, and that'd be a whole other kind of thing to get into. Pure white. Don't know if this is going to do much since they're already pure white in most parts, but I just want to see if I can get a bit of a light. Like maybe they bloom too much. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Looks pretty nice. I think if I were to do this, I would get a bit more of the that kind of very saturated blue near them. So like, use the color dodge brush again. And like where the light is against it, just kind of blast it with a bit more intensity. That looks pretty neat. There we go. Yeah, maybe we'll go with the white after all. Yeah. Okay. I'm actually quite liking that now. I think that little glow is what it needed. It just didn't feel like I was able to get that light look to it enough. Then we can get a bit of this on the edge of the snow, just so that it feels a little more 3D. Main brush. Colors are popping. There you go. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that, I think. It does actually look like kind of those white Christmas lights on top of ice. Or at least, to me, that's what it looks like. Who knows if it's accurate or not. A little bit of color. A little bit of both. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it does feel a little more festive with a bit of color. Maybe I'll just leave those ones on behind. Or like, could be the colorful ones are on the... Yeah, it's so noisy though. I don't think I like that. I think I prefer that. Although it doesn't feel necessarily as Christmas. This is tough. Alright. Whoops. Didn't mean to hit that. Did I just... Okay. It's like, what in the world did I just do? Okay. I'm gonna save. Give me 1 quick minute as it saves. BRB. Boop. Okay, so I actually only just realized what time it actually is, and I'm gonna have to stop the stream. Um, so, unfortunately, we don't get to work on the Huntington right now, but we'll figure it out. And honestly, I think we had a lot of fun working on this. So noisy. I think we got to a pretty good spot for this. I'm probably going to run around the map and add fun little things like I do want to add a little Santa hat onto Bubbles. And then maybe do something for the can't think of it, Queso Canyon. And maybe just like a little bit more snow in areas. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with the actual comet itself. So next up, I'm gonna design a new Huntington the Fourth. Fix those hills chat pointed out. Now, I'm trying to think of what hills. Like, I think you said it was. Was it like these hills over here, somewhere around here? If you can take a screenshot of like in-game hills you're talking about. Oh, oh, oh. I see it now. I see it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's not too hard. Just gotta find that layer. And, well, actually, I can just do this. There it is. Okay, so I will fix those. Maybe go a bit darker in the shadows there too. Yeah, I think that's probably what you're talking about. I hope. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that will have to do for now. So I'm going to shut down the stream, but I am going to work on this a little bit more, but I just can't stream for the next hour and a bit. I'm going to go on lunch. Yeah, so I guess you'll get to see what becomes of other elements of the map soon enough. Well, maybe not super soon, but in time, when the event comes. Yeah, so thanks everybody for hanging out. I had a good time with you. Hope you guys also enjoyed yourselves. And next week should be Dave, but I'm not 100% sure. Might be me. But yeah, we have lots of stuff to work on. Should be pretty exciting. So I shall see you guys next time. And until then, happy hunting. Have a good weekend, everybody. And thanks for hanging out. Sorry this was a shorter one. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. All right, catch you later, guys. Bye for now.